And I would like to introduce you my business partner, who is a founder of NHT Global. He did over $1 billion in sales over the past 10 years. He helped 41 people to receive $1 million income, and 10 of them are making over $100,000 per week. So in today's webinar, we're going to show you how we support our teams. So even people who are not our members can just feel how it works in our company, and what are the first steps in our business. So Joe, I hand over it to you.
Thank you, Dalibor. I really appreciate you putting this all together here. It just shows you that your leadership that you're bringing to the table here with NHT, and we definitely are very excited about your success here in the business over here particularly the last 90 days. So the people that are working with you should be very lucky, or feel very lucky, that they're working with you, with one of the best here across the NHT world. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know me, I got started here with NHT in 2001. You know, prior to getting involved in this business, in this great industry of network marketing, I was a business owner. I can remember, ever since I could remember as a child, I always wanted to be wealthy. Unfortunately, I know most children think that way. They dream big, and then what ends up happening with most people when they get into their 20s and then eventually into 30s, their dreams die. And I never let go of my dreams, and I knew that I couldn't become wealthy working for someone else, so I went ahead and got involved in the business. It was a franchise business, and I realized real quickly, within 5 months, after working 80-hour work weeks, I was making the money, but I knew I couldn't do that the rest of my life, because what I did is I looked at the people in the business, my peers in that business that were in their late 40s and 50s. I didn't want to be like them, always chasing money. And I knew I would never become wealthy in that business. So I went looking for a plan B. I had a defining moment in my life. And this is what I suggest, and what I will go into this training. I had a defining moment in my life where I sat down and I started planning out my life and what I wanted in life. And I started writing down things like I wanted to travel the globe. I wanted to earn over $1 million a year. I wanted to earn $1 million a year, but I wanted to do that while I was sleeping. And that's when I started educating myself how to create wealth by leveraging off of other people's efforts. I wanted to develop a business where I could work from home. Here in North America at that time, you know, that home-based business feeling, creating a business where you had the freedom and working out of home, that's something that I wanted to accomplish, because I knew I would be able to spend a lot more time with my family. So a few months after writing that down and really focusing on what my dreams were, I'm in my local library studying business, doing some research, and a gentleman introduced me to network marketing. Looking back all these years later, you know, that defining moment in my life where I started writing down my goals and my dreams down, that wasn't a coincidence where I met with this gentleman in the library, and he introduced me to this great industry of network marketing. And the more that I did the research on network marketing, the more that I got excited. And the more that I got excited, I understood the power behind this business model, where you can develop an organization and make money while you sleep, help others achieve greatness, all the great assets to our business model. The very first thing that I did, and this is very important that you can understand, so you can understand, at that time I was in my mid-20s and I knew I needed a lot of help. And I knew the key to success was to surround yourself with greatness, was to surround yourself with people that are successful. And that's what I did. And fortunately, you have that here with Dalibor. Um, you know, I've been mentoring Dalibor and coaching Dalibor here over the last number of months. And very few people that I've mentored over the years have learned as much as Dalibor has, and has developed themselves as much as Dalibor has in a very short period of time. So you're very lucky. So the first thing that I did, and this is why we've set up this webinar, is understanding the people you surround yourself most in life will determine who you become in most cases. So that's what I did here when I got started here with NH2 Global. And you know my history, over $1 billion in sales, 42 people that I've helped earn multi-million-dollar incomes, and developed this global massive business. So I'm going to share with you here in the next 15 minutes what I did when I got started, what I did on a daily basis, what I do here today. So I'd recommend that you take a pen and paper and take some notes. So the very first thing that I did, and this is what my mentor shared with me, and I understood that I needed to use the power of the universe. And this was another defining moment in my life when I understood the biggest power of the universe. And you need to write this down. What you focus on most in your life, you will attract. What you focus on most in your life, you will attract. So you ever notice, let's look at our family members. Ever notice our people in our family members or our friends that are continuing to struggle in life? They seem to always have challenges. They seem to always have problems that come up in life, and the same type of problems over and over and over again. And then you start to see other people that go through life where great things happen to them all the time. You know, they're having fun. Monies is not a challenge for them. They tend to attract great things into their life. And when you observe those types of people, the person that's always having challenges and the person that's always walking through life with ease, when you observe them, you'll find that those people think differently. The person that's always having challenges, I bet you their focus is on their problems, their money challenges, their problems with relationships. They're always focused on the negative. Whereas the people that go through life where they get everything, the great things always happen to them, they're having fun, they're traveling. And when you focus on those people and their thoughts, they will tell you that they're constantly focused on what they want. And when I started observing people, and when I started understanding this power of the universe, the number one law of the universe, is I started understanding that what I focused on most in my life is what I will attract and who I will become. So the very first thing that I did is I defined my goals. I defined my why in my business, why I got started, what woke me up every morning, and what I wanted to achieve. And that why was so specific down to the detail. So my very first goal, and my biggest goal in my life when I got started, was I wanted to buy a dream home. So what I did with this dream home is I specifically I took out pictures of homes that I wanted, of this home that I wanted. I planted this picture in my office. I put it in my bedroom. So every day, every morning, I woke up with that on my mind. The second thing that I did with that is I knew specifically what that home looked like, what the backyard looked like, how many rooms in the house, you know, how big the house was. Everything was visualized and focused on that house. The third thing that I did is I got emotionally attached to my dream. I fell in love with my dream. And how I did that is I started taking my young family at the time, and we would be going out and viewing homes that were either for sale that we could see, or new homes or new developments, homes that came close to my dream. And we would go and visit those homes and walk through those homes, and I would pretend that those homes were mine. So my focus was entirely on that house. And I knew that this business was going to be the vehicle to my dreams. So what happened to me is when I started doing that and I created that little formula in achieving goals, I ended up achieving that through my NHT business and much, much, much more. Only because, and this is very important, I knew exactly what I wanted. So when I help someone get started in this business, I determine exactly what they want. I know exactly what they want, and we're now able to put together a business plan and a daily plan for their mental stimuli to achieve that goal. So when you know what you want and you follow what I've just shared with you, you will eventually get it. I guarantee it. This is why I've helped 42 people get to $1 million incomes. The second thing I did, and this is very important, and this falls in line with your dreams. You know, when you study successful people, you'll find they have a few things in common. Number one, they fall in love with their dream. They know exactly what they want. The second thing they do is they understand what they feed their mind on their daily basis. The seeds that they plant in their mind, they will harvest. So if you plant garbage seeds in your mind, you will have garbage harvest. If you plant the great seeds in your mind, you will have an incredible harvest. So how do you do that? So what I did is I developed a personal development plan. I needed to develop my skill sets. So I went ahead and started reading on a daily basis. So if you go to steamteam.ca, which is my training site, you go in there, click on members, and then you go under personal development. You'll find all the books, free books that I've uploaded in there. They're in ebook version that I've got exclusive rights to. And these are the books that I have been feeding my mind for years. And I've done it on a daily basis. When I wake up in the morning, when I go to bed at night, I'm constantly feeding my mind with this great material. So building your personal development, building your emotional IQ, building your people skills, it's critical that you do that on a daily basis. The Olympics are coming in London here over the next month. And you look at the top athletes that will get gold, bronze, and silver. And there's very little difference between the ones that medal and the ones that don't. But if you really study those athletes, you'll find that those athletes work on the craft every single day. They fall in love with their dream. They're constantly working on their craft. So in our business, what I did is I worked on my craft every day. I didn't miss a day. I treated it like the Olympic athlete. This is the difference between people that succeed and the ones that don't. The third thing I did is I understood the power of commitment. Unfortunately, in today's world, our word no longer means anything. I can remember when growing up, and my dad would lend money to his friends or co-workers, and they never wrote down any kind of agreement, because my dad knew back then, if you lent someone money, they would pay you back because their word was their bond. Today, you know, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you lend someone money, you're going to have to get 3, 4, 5 different contracts and an agreement put into place that they would pay you back. So we have lost touch with commitment in our society, and it doesn't matter what society you're in, what culture you're coming from, it's the same all over the world. So I understood if I was going to be a success in NHT Global, I understood a couple of things. Here's the thing, is number one, I needed to make a commitment that I would never think of quitting or quit. I was going to make it happen no matter what. So when I did that, ladies and gentlemen, when I went ahead and made that 150% commitment, I looked myself in the mirror and said, this is it. I'm going to make this happen no matter what. It brought me the power the incredible power that most people don't have. And when people started talking to me, they knew that I was serious. They knew I was serious about my dreams. They knew that if they started hanging around with me in business, that they were going to be with a winner. I didn't have to tell them. It was written all over my face, my body, my actions. Unfortunately, in today's world, most people never make a commitment. They'll use the word try. And when someone tells you, I'm going to try to develop this business, all that means to me is that I'm not going to do it. I'm going to try to go to a meeting. I'm going to try to get on this webinar here today. Guaranteed, that means that they're never going to show up. So successful people like these Olympic athletes, the ones that will win bronze, gold, and silver, those are the ones that will be a little bit more committed every single day, a little bit more committed working on their craft every single day. The fourth thing that I started understanding, there is a book that I recommend people to read. It's a brand new book by Malcolm Gladwell. It's called The Tipping Point. It's a bestseller. You can get it on Amazon. And Malcolm Gladwell, basically the book was his research on successful people. So he researched Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, professional athletes, anyone that has achieved greatness in their fields. The book is all about achievement and his research. So it was a fascinating book because I got one major thing from that book, which was this, and I've known this for years, is all the successful people that he researched had one thing in common. And the major thing in common was that they took at least 10,000 hours practicing the craft before they became successful. 10,000 hours of working on the craft every single day before they became successful. And that is true, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen many people come into NH2 Global. They've seen my success, seen Dan Cattle's success, Delabor's success, but they don't understand that it took us years of working on a craft, focusing on everything I've just shared with you here today, and practicing our craft. And it took us, many, many hours of us becoming the success we are today. So when I got started in NHT, that was my whole focus. I understood, even before that book was written out, that at least it would take me at least 3 to 5 years to develop the skill sets that will set my family up for life. Fortunately, I learned fast. Fortunately, I surrounded myself with the right people. Fortunately, I was committed more than anybody else. Fortunately, I worked on it every single day, where I got results faster than most people because of our compensation plan. But typically, if you go into our business, 3 to 5 years, 10,000 hours of work in the business, you will set yourself up for life. Many of our millionaires that I've taught in this business that are now on the beaches of the world, they work the business very little today because they have a massive team that's paying them whether they work or not. They have set their families up for life because of the residual income. Here's the next thing that I did is now you need to understand on the business end the environment that we're in today's world. Network marketing is an industry that is exploding. In 2011, it did over $180 billion in sales globally with all the companies in the world. 2009, it did $110 billion. So just in the last 2 to 3 years, this industry has grown over $70 billion. All you have to do is turn on the TV, go on the internet, and you'll see countries like Greece and throughout Western Europe, and the economy is tanking all over the world. But why is network marketing flourishing in today's business environment? Well, I understood in 2001 when I launched with NH2 Global, I understood that the internet was going to change the way we do business forever? Was it going to change the way we communicated forever? I also understood that no other industry was positioned like network marketing when it came to the internet. So as of when I started NHT, I recognized that I could connect with people all over the world through the internet. I could develop relationships with people all over the world and search out for the greatest people in this world that are hungry, that think like I do, that want to develop business. And because of our products, like the Allura, when we started, it was very easy to reach out to people around the world. Now it's even more easier. Because what has happened in the last 5 years is the emerging markets of this world, like Russia, like China, throughout Africa, India, South America, these markets are now catching up to the West. The West has a organization called the G8. So all the top economies in the world in the G8 meet every single year. What has happened now is the emerging markets, China, India, Brazil, Russia, have their own G8 type of conference. And now they're going to be invited into the G8 because those economies have grown faster than the West. And I'll tell you why. Is for generations, education, the reason why the West had an advantage was because of education. The masses were much more educated than you would find in these emerging markets. But because of the internet, these people now are coming online the last 5 to 10 years, and they're educating themselves, and they're growing their conscious level, and they're recognizing that they can get into business for themselves and meet with people on the internet. And this is what, and they're meeting with people like myself and saying, wow, you mean I can get involved in this business for less than $1,000 and become wealthy? And they, when they start to research and start to learn more, they are coming into the business in droves. And this is why you see the expansion of network marketing from 110 billion to 180 billion in just 3 years. This is called the global paradigm shift, ladies and gentlemen. And I've predicted, I've traveled to over closing in on 50 countries now. I've done meetings in China and Korea and Japan and throughout Eastern Europe. I just got back from Russia, and I've seen huge changes in the last 5 years. So there is a window of opportunity in the next 5 to 10 years that there is going to be an incredible amount of growth in network marketing, incredible amount of growth in NHT Global, because we are positioned like no other company in this industry. Very few companies are positioned like we are globally. And these people that are coming into network marketing for the first time are recognizing the power behind this business model, are recognizing what they can do on the internet, the advances of social networking. Just think about it, ladies and gentlemen. I have an iPhone in my hand, and I was in Africa a couple of years ago, and I was going through the desert in Egypt, and I'm on these ATVs, and I'm going through this desert, and I stopped for a drink of water, and I noticed there was a family living in a hut in the middle of the desert, and they had invited me into this hut for a drink, and I obliged them. I walked in, and I noticed one of the gentlemen in the hut in this family had an iPhone, and I thought, wow. And he was using Skype at the time when I walked in. And I don't know who he was communicating or where, but I thought, wow, this man in this hut in the middle of the desert is on an iPhone, on Skype, has access to more information in his phone, in his hand, than the presidents of any country in the 1980s. Think about the power of technology. When my parents emigrated to Canada from Portugal in the early 60s, before I was born, and they would want to communicate with their parents back home, they would have to send a telegram because on the phone was too expensive. The villages that my grandparents lived in had only one phone. You know, it was very difficult to communicate that way. So they sent a telegram. It would take 4 weeks to get there. My grandparents would reply, and it'd take another 4 weeks to get back. You imagine 2 months it would take to communicate. Fast forward only 40 years later, 40, 50 years later, they can go online, communicate, and see their granddaughter in Paris on Skype video. They can do it on the iPhone on Skype video. That's the power of technology. And this is how people like great distributors of ours and leaders like Dalibor have taken advantage of meeting with many of you that are on the line here today and will be listening in the future, where he's connecting with people all over the world. And this is one of our greatest teachers here in NHT Global. So he will be able to show you what he's been able to do here over the last year with NHT Global and tapping into these emerging markets. And that is one of my greatest strengths, is starting a company from scratch and developing them to the point where they're flourishing. And you see all the countries that we're on right now, we're involved in right now, 36 countries. Our next 2 countries are going to be Kazakhstan and Ukraine. So those are the quick steps in getting started. And the last one, so we've talked about defining your why, how important it is to really specifically know what you want in life, in this business. Number 2, we've talked about personal development and raising your conscious level and working on your craft every single day. Third thing is I talked about a commitment and what I did when I got started. And when I made that word to myself, looked myself in the mirror, that I was never going to quit, I was going to make it happen. This brought me a power that very few people have. When I started talking to people, they knew that I was serious about the business. They knew that I was going places in the business because of the commitment. Then I talked about the power of commitment, the power of your word, power of personal development, which we've talked about. Then we've talked about the emerging markets and how NHT Global is committed and positioned in our global market force. And then the last thing I want to share with you is how to get started. And it's typically what I did when I got started is I started writing down a list of all the business people and entrepreneurs that I knew or were acquainted with. I started from there because number 1, my goal was to introduce them to the business and the product, but also my goal was to have them help me, if they're not interested in the business, to see who they knew either in other countries or that were entrepreneurial that be open to looking at our business. So we have a strategy that we can help you to get started at NHT. Through Dalibor, he can show you how that's done, how to develop a business plan, how to get started properly, and how to develop your business on a daily basis through our communication. So we've shown you here today that we're here for we're committed for your success through Dalibor's team here. I want to make sure that you understand that we are available to help you achieve your dreams. So I would recommend that you get back to Dalibor. If you have any questions today or in the future when you listen to this webinar, because we are taping it today, if you have any questions, comments, you need some help, communication is the key. I talked about early in the webinar about mentorship, surrounding yourself with the right people. And this is why we've developed a support system, because we understand that training and support is the foundation to all success. So Dalibor, I'm going to pass it to you so you can close the webinar. And I appreciate you having me coming on today.
Thank you very much, Joe. This was wonderful. I'm really, I think that it's gonna help to everybody who join us during. Also, there were people joining us during the webinar. There were people from India, from Western Europe, and especially from Africa. So if you have any questions on that, just feel free to contact me anytime on just reply to the email I've sent you, and I will be happy to help you with starting with us with NHT. So thank you very much, and have a nice evening.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Joe. Bye bye.